Hi, folks, and welcome to another episode of Careers and Coffee. I'm absolutely delighted to welcome some of the team from University of Suffolk today and their sort of partner of Ipswich Waterfront Innovation Centre. So today we'll be talking about careers advice, higher education, apprenticeships, skills, lots of really interesting stuff. So firstly, I'm going to bring in Annabelle Richardson, who's a careers advisor at the University of Suffolk. Annabelle,
Hi.
how are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you, Jordan.
So how's life been in lockdown for you? You keeping productive, keeping busy?
Yeah, no, we're really busy. We can do lots of stuff online. We can support our students online. And so like today, I've already reviewed 2 CVs for our students, their final years, and they're looking for jobs kind of this summer, really. So yeah,
Fantastic.
lots to do.
So can you give me a flavour of what your role is and what you do at the University of Suffolk?
Okay, so I'm obviously a careers advisor. I meet with students, and this can be by phone, by Teams, by email, obviously in person when the university is back open. I support them with looking for jobs. I support them with their decision making, helping them to develop strategies and career plans. I review their CVs. This is for all our students across all our campuses and for our alumni. So we support our alumni for up to 3 years after they graduate. So if a student, it's really good. So if a student graduated, say, 2 years ago and they contacted us, we would support them. And we don't just look at...
That's a fantastic resource, isn't it?
Is. Yeah, it is an amazing resource. We also have an online tool called Future Me. It's purely online. There is industry reports, there's job seeking, there's questionnaires, there's like a CV reviewer, there's a mock interview reviewer. So, you know, especially now during lockdown, there's so much that they can do. If they complete certain modules, when they graduate, can go onto their higher education achievement record and they get the Future Me Award. Wow. Yeah, so it's really loads that they can do.
I was going to say, it's so important to have that advice after leaving university, because those next few years, they can be a little bit uncertain as you're now sort of, dipping your toe into the world of work. And you know, you'll be making good choices, bad choices. I mean, how many students are there at the university that you support with around careers advice?
Well, we support all of them. So whoever contacts us, we'll support them. And some of our students are not just based in Ipswich; they're based at other campuses. We've got students in London, we've got students all over the place.
Wow. And I mean, how much has careers advice changed due to coronavirus?
I think the only thing that's changed is there's no face-to-face, unless it's, you know, via like Teams or something like that. So it's no physical contact with them, and that's about it really. Everything else we can do with them.
Brilliant. And in terms of, you know, there's not necessarily just to University of Suffolk students, but to students of all ages, 11 right up to, you know, university. I mean, what's your advice to them who are a little bit concerned about their future at the moment?
I would say to them to don't have set rigid ideas, but go out, be curious and explore things. So be flexible, deal with your obstacles, address any circumstances and events, and maximize planned and unplanned events. There's a careers theory called planned happenstance, and it's such a good theory. It's really short, it's quick, but I would recommend everyone to have a read of that.
So can you give us a little sort of brief intro of planned happenstance? I know what it is, but I know that many people viewing may not. So can you give us a little idea of what that is?
So planned happenstance is really being curious and explore learning opportunities, be flexible, and don't have set rigid ideas. Don't think, okay, when I leave school, I'm going to be a doctor. You know, have ideas and go in search of them. So don't, you know, your career is not just one line, it's going to be a squiggle. what you do when you finish school at 16 or 18 or university at 21 may not be what you're going to do when you retire at 70 or however old you'll be when you retire.
That's
So
very
there's going
true.
to be, there's just going to be grasp every opportunity. That's how I'd sum up planned happenstance. Long as it's legal and it's not going to harm anyone.
Good save. So,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, you're advising students who want to go into all sorts of different sectors, everything from maybe energy to healthcare and everything in between. But are there some sectors that you would maybe point out to students that they may overlook?
Some sectors. I mean, I think engineering is a really good sector to get involved in, and technology is a really good sector to get involved in. I also think like health as well, nursing. I mean, especially now with coronavirus, and we see how much our healthcare workers do. I think they're really good. I mean, at the university, we do nursing, we do paramedics, we do radiography, radiotherapy. These are, really good courses that, whatever you do throughout life, they'll always be beneficial for you.
No, I think that's really good advice. And if you are a young person and you are quite interested in a sector or a particular job, what do you think should be the next stage around maybe trying to get some more interest in that job?
Okay, so I would say, obviously, depending on your age, try and get some experience in it. You can work shadow, certain sectors you can volunteer. Just find out, to test it, see if you like it. It's a great way to network as well. So, and obviously read up on it. There's some really good websites where you can find out what's, like what is it to be, what skills do you need, what attributes do you need to, say, be a nurse or something. So do some research and then try and connect. I mean, you can connect with people on LinkedIn, just do your research, and if you can, get some experience. At the university, we offer some amazing schemes that we pay the students. So we have like mentoring schemes. We have the micro placement scheme, so the students get experience. We're also paying them, and it just helps them with their confidence, help them think, oh yeah, I actually really want to work in sustainability, or I actually really want to work in IT, or I really want to work in an office.
Yeah, no, that's really, really good. I've just got a question in. So does Annabelle have a most asked question from being a careers advisor?
Yes, I do. It's what can I do with my degree?
Okay. I mean, how do you answer that? That must be quite tricky.
It's not really, because I get it asked all the time. So somebody may have done a particular degree because they like the subject, and then they're kind of thinking, well, what can I do with this degree? It's not like nursing or something. It might be like early childhood studies, that perhaps they thought they were going to become a teacher. They did some volunteering, they decided they don't want to be a teacher. What can they do? But I start by asking them questions like, well, why did you do the course? And they may say, it's because I want to help people. And so I said, well, why do you want to help people? And asking them questions and getting them thinking about the other roles. And for instance, in your job, you probably help people. In my job, I help people. So you don't have to be a teacher to help people. So it's just getting them to think about their skills, think about why they did or are doing that degree, and then, start getting some experience if they haven't got it. Do a little bit of research. And what I often do with them, I'll get up a job description and a person's specification for a particular role, and I'll say, like, right, now if you have a look at it, look at the skills they're looking for. And so many of the skills all employers want, communications, team playing, problem solving, negotiation. And so, it's quite an easy question, really.
Oh, I've got another question. What's been the weirdest job someone has asked you about? I'm hoping it's legal.
Well, I've actually had quite a few people, I'd probably say about 3 or 4, ask me, about how do they get into working in a funeral home. And
Okay.
it's not weird, but it's surprising how many people want to work in a funeral home.
I mean, you're always going to have a job. You've always got customers, so that's
always
positive.
Customers, yeah.
I mean, that is an interesting one. I mean, in terms of your own job, what's one of the best parts of your job?
I think to see students, because sometimes I'll see a student right from the beginning when they first come to university, and right at the end, and they've kind of increased in confidence, and best thing of all is when they get a job. Quite often, you help a student for a few years, and then right at the end they start applying for their graduate roles, and when they email you and say, oh, guess what, I got that job that you helped me, because we do like mock interviews, and like they might contact me and say, oh, I've got an interview in a couple of days, can we have a mock interview? And we kind of go through things, and then like a week later they say, oh, I got the job. So
that sounds brilliant. And has there been any sort of success stories of pupils who have went off and done some really amazing stuff?
Yeah, no, we used to do destination of leavers from higher education, and it was a government survey, and we would have to ring our students who'd graduated a little while earlier and ask them kind of questions like, what are you doing, where are you working, and stuff like that. And it was some amazing things they were doing. But really recently, because I manage the micro placement scheme, so it's only open to our students, and I had a student that was working with us, and I said, did you want to go and work shadow a department within the university? And they said, yeah, that would be amazing. And just by chance they were advertising a graduate role, and she went for an interview and she got it. She went from being a student to having a graduate role.
Brilliant.
In kind of just a matter of months.
That's brilliant. No, and I think a lot of that is testament to around giving that right career support and information and the advice, the guidance that goes along with it. Got another. No, had a question, but it's gone. How did you end up becoming a careers advisor? Question.
Okay, well, I kind of it kind of just fell into it, actually. I used to work in marketing at Suffolk New College, and I worked in their info zone, in their information centre, and so I kind of got quite a good knowledge of what was out there. Yeah. And then when I came to work at the university, I kind of I got into the careers advice from there, really. So I had that knowledge that I was getting, and then, job came up and I got it.
That's great. Well, look, I'm keen to bring in our next guests, but before we leave, have you got any sort of final words of advice to students who will be then sort of now starting their, or about to go on to their next pathway?
Have I got any advice for them? I would say, like I said earlier, grasp your opportunities, don't give up, and just try things. And, if you come to university, you do get loads of support, but, there are other roles as well out there.
Good.
I would also say, don't be pushed into going to university because all your friends are going as well. You can come to obviously we want you. You can come to university, don't come for the wrong reason. Don't go just because your friends are going.
Yeah. Not for the sort of peer pressure, I think you want to make sure you're going there, as you say, for all the right reasons, and that you're passionate about whatever you're about to study and embark upon. And also, I know we'll be coming on to degree apprenticeships, but there's lots and lots of different ways to be able to get a degree as well. But before, carry on.
I'd also say, if you come to university, make sure you do use your career service.
Just one last question, just for you guys. So, do students stay local to East Anglia, or do they look for jobs elsewhere after they've graduated?
Yeah, it's kind of a mix really. A lot of our students do stay local, but then a lot of our students do move, and we've got quite a few students from London as well. So yeah, I mean, a lot do stay local, but a lot do move around.
Brilliant.
As well.
So just on the question, so do students stay local to East Anglia, or do they look for jobs elsewhere?
It's a mix really. They do both. A lot of them do stay local. Can you hear me? I don't know if you can hear me.
Brilliant. Well, look, Annabelle, thank you so much for your time. I hope you have a fantastic afternoon.
Thank you, Jordan.
Oh, well, I think there's a lag in between.
Yeah.
But yeah, Annabelle, thank you so much for your time, and
okay.
I hope you have an awesome afternoon. And then we're going to bring in Joanne and Jenni from the Ipswich Waterfront Innovation Centre.
Hi, Jordan.
Hi, Jordan.
Hiya, folks. How are we?
All good, thank you.
Yeah, look, enjoying the sunshine. Well, looking at it from outside, you know, inside.
So best we can do at the minute, I think. So tell me a little bit more about your roles and what you do at the university, and also you've got the University of Suffolk and then you've got the Ipswich Waterfront Innovation Centre. Are they the same thing? What do they do?
Shall I take this one, Jo?
Yes.
Yeah. Basically, the Ipswich Waterfront Innovation Centre is our sort of hothouse for our entrepreneurs, and these can be from any sort of walk of life. We have hot desking facilities, meeting rooms, including a really cool room called the Ideas Room. And the idea is for these people to have business membership, which gives them access to hot desks, but also a range of specialists, expertise that they can access. And that can be academics, students, graduates, and also amazing tea and coffee, courtesy of Paddy and Scott's, just literally outside the door. So the idea is it's like a university wraparound, so they can access academic expertise, like I said, and students and graduates to help them grow and develop quicker. And also as well, once they do move on to, say, office space, for example, we still keep in touch with them. So we're sort of growing our community. And the gentleman on there, Luke, Element Softworks, he's one of our members, and he's actually employed several of our graduates as well. And it's just great. And the best thing about sitting there is, and watching them, is you see people collaborating, the different business members. And that's fantastic. It makes you feel very proud that we've got that on our doorstep and so close to the waterfront.
That's really good. And I'll also vouch for the IWIC. I've known about the IWIC for many years, and I do know how good the coffee is because you both have made me fancy coffee there as well. But let's go over to Joanne. Joanne, tell us a little bit more about you and your role.
Okay, so I'm the head of apprenticeships at the university, and obviously we're based at the IWIC because what goes hand in hand is obviously businesses and apprenticeships. We wouldn't have any apprenticeships if we didn't have any businesses. So from the university's perspective, we don't, unlike the traditional routes into university, we don't accept individual student applications. They're actually drawn from employers. So we work with what we call levy paying employers, so quite large employers, who pay into the HMRC pot, and obviously that money is then drawn down for training. Now, a lot of people don't realise that obviously universities undertake higher and degree apprenticeships. It's another route into university, and obviously these are of a higher and degree status. Qualification. So with apprenticeships, obviously it's training while you're working, so you do have to be employed. It's not a traditional degree route into university, so you do need to be employed. So For instance, obviously we do digital technology. We've got a number of employers, BT being one of them. So you would be employed with BT, and then that would be your route into a degree apprenticeship at the University of Suffolk.
Brilliant. And I mean, yeah, I think on this, on my talk show, we always band around some sort of big terms, so like apprenticeship and levy and all of those sorts of things. But obviously, we'll have a range of audience listening. So, what is an apprenticeship? You know, how would you best sum it up to a student who's never heard of it before?
Well, an apprenticeship, in its own terms, is training whilst you're working. So you've got the benefit of earning an income, but also studying for a qualification at the same time. So it's much more flexible to do it that way.
Yeah.
Although with an attendance element, whether that be virtual at the moment or obviously in the premises, that's slightly reduced to obviously a traditional student would do. They're more the time.
So it's fair to say it's sort of a win-win for the employee, who's they're getting paid, they're learning, but also from an employer perspective, they're getting a fantastic member of staff who's learning everything on the job, including how that business works as well. So it's sort of a win-win for both, really, isn't it?
Exactly. And obviously from a university's perspective, the higher and degree apprenticeships is that upskilling element. So people have got those transferable skills. They've already got those. They're just using them to obviously gain people. There's a lot more flexibility to that. And you come out with a degree or a high level qualification.
And so what degrees or high level qualifications does the university offer?
Okay, so at the moment we focus on the areas that we're very, very good at. So predominantly, and I'd probably like to use the opportunity to thank all of our frontline apprentices that don't necessarily get a mention. Obviously, we've got quite a lot of frontline staff in the health sector. So that covers obviously from the nursing side, assistant practitioners. So obviously the health is a very important part of what we do. We've got social work as well, which comes under our social science and humanities. And then we've obviously got the digital technology solutions. So obviously that is like the networking and software elements of that sector. So it's quite a broad element, and that's obviously higher and degree. So depending on where you're employed and what you're doing, your employer's obviously best advised to give you that information of obviously what particular program suits your occupation.
Brilliant, thank you. Now I'm going to switch to Jenni to talk a little bit more about her career and skills and sort of wider issues around social mobility as well. But Jenni, you've got a fantastic career around employer engagement, work with young people, working with some really thriving businesses at the IWIC and supporting them to grow as well. So you must see sort of, lots of amazing skills. So what are some of the key skills you think young people need to really thrive in the world of work?
I think just really to be able to talk to people. And, one of the best ways to do that, as Annabelle was saying, was, get involved, volunteer, get work experience, work shadow. And I do appreciate it is nerve-wracking because, I'm old, and in my day, it was quite easy to get a Saturday job. And I remember I used to blush every time I spoke to somebody. But generally, if you can talk to people, you can do like 90% of jobs. I've resigned myself to the fact I'm never going to be an astronaut now, but I can live with that.
You never know. Speak to Annabelle.
Yeah, but it's really just if you're stuck for something to say, just ask someone. Where do you come from? Talk about the weather. It gets easier the more you practice, and also as well, I think just to everything new can be scary. I've been really nervous about doing this, and it's just about it's never going to be as bad as you think it's going to be, and you'll learn from it. So it's just, go. All I'd say is go for it. Just put yourself in, a slightly scary situation. Just take a chance.
I think that is sound advice. And I think definitely communication skills is really important because, as you do go into the world of work, you have to go to these wonderful things called networking events, and some of them are good and some of them could be better. And a lot of that, all of it, is going up to someone and having a chat. And that's really daunting when it's a stranger you've never met and you're trying to sort of get across you in a really good way in about 15 seconds without sort of boring someone. And I think the best people are those who just come across really well, shake your hand, make eye contact and say, hi, this is me, this is what I do. And I think with students, sometimes they do struggle because they think, well, I've not got a job, or, what experience do I talk about? But I think it's totally cool just to turn up and say, I'm a student and I study this and this is what I want to do in the future. Instantly, you can then talk about what your degree is, or whatever you're studying, whether it be A level or anything. And then you can start to have a conversation about, okay, well, what's my future aspirations, and potentially how can this person help me? So I think you just hit the nail on the head with communication skills. But something I do want to talk about, so social mobility. Okay, I'll come on to that question in a bit. But social mobility is a huge issue in Ipswich, and again, that's just another buzzword. But social mobility, in essence, is your background determining your future. And for a lot of people in Ipswich, that is not an amazing background, and perhaps not a great future to look forward to. And that's what many of us are trying to tackle at the moment. But what does social mobility mean to you, and what are you guys trying to do to support that?
What I really love about our university, and I always say this to people, is we help ordinary people become extraordinary. As Annabelle said, you can start a degree at any time in your life. When you're 18, 19, it might not be the right time for you. We've had some amazing success stories where, someone who was a single mum at 17 graduated top of her year. I think it is about believing in yourself, and sort of trying to find opportunities to sort of change your circumstances and find people who will help you. Because for me, I was the first person in our family to go to university. And that was a big thing for me. And I went to London, and it's the first time in my life that I was so scared I didn't eat for a couple of days. That soon changed, but and it was the most amazing experience in my life. But it also made me realise how good Suffolk was. So just to come back and be in the fresh air again. But I think one of the things I always find is when I do mock interviews with year 11 students and we say, what are your strengths? And then sort of what are the areas you need to develop on? A lot of people say, I'm bad at maths. I'm bad at science. So I say, well, what's 2 + 2? And they say 4. And I say, well, you're not bad at maths. And I think it's about talking more positively to yourself, being kinder to yourself. Because just because you can't do something necessarily in school doesn't mean that school won't help you if you ask for help, but also as well, it's looking about how it's going to help you in the world of work afterwards. And there are lots of different courses and ways to sort of upskill yourself. It can be university, it can be an apprenticeship, which is amazing because you get mentors as well. There are opportunities there for people to take.
No, I think that's really, really good, and especially around what you're talking about around self-care and just sort of looking after yourself. That's even more important at the moment. I think a lot of people are looking at this coronavirus, and if you didn't come out of it without learning a new language or playing a new instrument, then you're an instant failure. I think I'll be chuffed if I don't come out of it wearing sort of trousers which are an extra sort of 6 inches on the waist. I think that'll be my success. So no, I think you're spot on the self-care aspect. I think we had a question though beforehand, which is something around. There we go. So, what's been the scariest situation you've been in that's had the biggest rewards? So I'll ask Jenni that first, and then come on to Joanne.
Thank you.
Make it appropriate, please, people.
Yeah, I did work at BT for 9 years, and then I had my career epiphany because I suddenly realised what I wanted to do, and that was work with young people. So within 6 weeks, I went from working at BT, and I was really lucky to get a job with an education charity, and I had to run a work-related learning event for 200 young people.
Wow.
With special educational needs. And I was thinking, oh my word, I've never worked with any young people in any capacity, supposing I do something wrong. So I literally didn't sleep the night before. And then when they were all coming in, this was at Kesgrove Community Centre, I just felt so overwhelmed. And then I just suddenly thought, nope, get on with it, Carberry. You can do this. And it was absolutely amazing. And to see people happy and, enjoying themselves and getting something out of it, different skills, different pathways, was absolutely amazing. And I also made my first friend in the education sector, Annie Clements, from Autism and ADHD, and we're friends to this day. And it just made me realise what amazing businesses there are here in Suffolk, but also how many people and business people want to help others.
Yes, yeah, no, I think we're quite lucky with that in Suffolk. I think there's a really good business community, and one that I think was brilliant anyway. And I think during this pandemic has been even better around whether it be supporting other businesses through mentors. But yeah, no, I think you're spot on there. Joanne, so same question to yourself. What's been the scariest situation you've been in that's had the biggest rewards, aside from coming on Careers and Coffee, of course?
Well, actually, it wasn't scary, but what I was going to say, if we're talking about obviously confidence building, when I first came to Suffolk, some sort of nearly 4 years ago now, I didn't know anybody. And obviously being in business myself, the first thing that I did was immerse myself within the business community, where I sought you out by earwigging one of your conversations at a networking event, if you remember.
Yes.
And I am one of those people that will study the people that are attending prior to going, and basically just seek those people out. And I came up to you, introduced myself, and we went from there. And obviously I've gone on to become a volunteer careers advisor through the school. So it's been very, very rewarding. But if I hadn't have done that, I wouldn't have had that opportunity. And it's obviously opened other doors as well to meet more business people and engage in the wider business community. So it's been fantastic. But sometimes you've just got to put yourself out there. As daunting as it may feel, it's not going to come to you. So that's quite key. But I think the scariest one, I had to deliver a training program many years ago at the Inland Revenue, and it was overlooking the River Thames. And it was one of those moments when you're looking out and there's all this, you're surrounded by all this glass, and you just look and you can see St Paul's Cathedral opposite, and you just say, I've arrived. But you're so scared. You're delivering this training program to the Inland Revenue, and actually you're thinking, well, actually they invited me, so I've arrived, I've done my bit. And that was a bit of a pinch moment. So as much as I was quite daunted by it, it made me excel. So yeah, all good.
That does sound nerve-wracking, especially to the Inland Revenue. That does sound nerve-wracking. No one wants to get their letters.
No. Up to date.
And I think also the part around networking and having that confidence just to go up to someone, because I do remember that, but it was a rooftop garden party. So those events definitely help. They're the nicer networking events. But another question I want to ask you both. So, Joanne, you touched on volunteering as an enterprise advisor through my work at New Anglia Lab. I mean, why do you think it's so important that people volunteer of all ages? Because we've seen it a lot during coronavirus, but why should people continue to volunteer?
I think it's about the just the satisfaction you get. You're keeping involved, but not necessarily thinking about work as a traditional sense of work. It's you're helping people, but you're using your knowledge and skill and imparting that on others. And quite often, people have got the same. They're scared. You've got the same, scared opportunities. And I always thought scared opportunities rather than anything else, because if you can talk to people about that and say, well, this is how I overcome that situation, then that is helping someone if they're ever in a similar situation. So it's very rewarding, and especially obviously with the young people that we engage with. Quite often than not, you learn a hell of a lot from them as well, and that keeps you quite up to date, because things are moving at such a pace that I'm often asking quite a lot of questions. Well, how do you do that then? Yeah. Because I've not been exposed to it myself. So you do learn a lot from them as well.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And Jenni, anything to add to that in terms of why people should volunteer? I think especially young people, making sure they volunteer, because it's quite a good experience, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. We always talk about, volunteering. It might help you find a job you like, but also another good thing is that it might help you decide the areas that you don't like, that you might not be interested in career-wise. And also as well, it gives you an idea of how you're going to be when you work in a team, because we're not genetically programmed to network or write in an academic way, but you can often find people who will want to help you and support you in the future, and it might make you think, because sometimes you imagine work's going to be an office, a 9 to 5, but there are so many other different jobs around there. So like going and volunteering at animal rescue, for example, it gives you a whole new outlook. It's just about widening your horizons, really.
Yeah, and I think for a lot of people, it's definitely not an office, and it's definitely not 9 to 5 anymore. So just coming back to the IWIC, so Ipswich Waterfront Innovation Centre. I mean, how can businesses get involved with some of the work that you do there? What's the next step for them? Or indeed young people or anyone who wants to get involved with what the IWIC does?
At the moment, we've moved everything online. So we have a virtual programme of events called Together with Business. So anyone can sign up for those. They're free. But just really about getting in touch. There's an email address within that website there, engage@uos.ac.uk, and we'll do our best to, work with you. I mean, the best thing for me in my role is actually showcasing the amazing businesses we've got here in Suffolk, and that's to each other, but also to our students and graduates and other people looking for work too. Our careers fairs are all open to the public. It's not just restricted to our students and graduates. It's all about upskilling Suffolk. I've got a hashtag, Growing Suffolk. It's a great place to be and work, although it's fine for people to leave and go elsewhere, but they just need to come back.
Almost like a holiday, really.
Yeah.
So you've mentioned We Are Together Business. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, one of the things we felt, because our events are normally face-to-face and in person, we didn't want the business community to think that we weren't there trying to help and support them at this time. So we asked our academics to volunteer their time to pull together a series of sessions. So we've got like bite-sized little nuggets of wisdom. We've got Key Size, which is our virtual version of our online business breakfast, and we've also got webinars, so webinar events. One that's coming up, which I desperately need, is called Eating Well to Enhance Productivity. You've got to bring your favourite snack. It can't be fruit and nut chocolate because I've asked, but it's different things to sort of help people get through, build their resilience, help them think and be more creative. The first virtual business breakfast we did last week made me realise how much, by sitting just in front of my laptop, literally keeping my head down doing my work, means because I'm not going for those water cooler moments and chatting to colleagues, I've sort of lost a bit of creativity. So, I need to step away, go for a walk and let those thoughts come back in. We've also got another one coming up in a week on Friday called, it's a creative writing session called Bringing the Outdoors Indoors. So, it's fantastic. We've got some amazing academics. You don't have to be at degree level to participate. It's about it's an opportunity to see what we can offer.
That sounds brilliant. I like the one with the food and bringing your favourite snack.
Yeah,
I quite like that. I suppose you can't really turn up with a glass of wine, some olives though.
Exactly, no, it's 10 o'clock in the morning.
5 o'clock somewhere. So I'm going to start to draw things to a close. But firstly, I'd like to ask you one last question. So as I said to Annabelle as well, there's going to be a lot of young people who are going into sort of their next pathway, whether that be an apprenticeship, further education, higher education, or the world of work. What is your advice to them? Because it's already a stressful time navigating your next pathway, even more so during a pandemic when you can't actually go out. What's your advice to any young person who's maybe a little bit scared and worried about that? And I'll kick off with Joanne.
I think it's all about planning. So if we talk about the networking event, I was planning for that event to obviously meet the people that I wanted to meet. The careers and your enhancements for your education are exactly the same. It's having that goal that you might not get there immediately, but if you start seeking out those opportunities, you're a little bit closer to getting where you need to be. So if you quite like the computer technology, then look out for some job advertisements for applications for apprenticeships online with BT, because that will be your route into an apprenticeship. So it's all about planning of what you might find that you might have to get an additional route into and who could put you in contact. So, obviously from Annabelle's perspective, there's a very supportive careers department at the university. That would be your first step if you were unsure, because they could help guide you through that process. It might be an apprenticeship at the end of it. It might be going on to do a postgraduate or a doctorate. All those routes are there and available. And as an alumni myself, I studied my Master of Science at the University of Suffolk. It's one of the first things that I did when I came to Suffolk. And again, it gave me those links to lifelong friendships. So plan and be prepared.
I like that. And Jenni, what's your advice?
I would say, because everything has gone virtual, try maybe investigate some free training or some webinars or something you're interested in. But also as well, don't put too much pressure on yourself. Don't say, oh, today I'm going to watch 5 webinars or do 5 courses. I must admit, I'm one of the people that has done absolutely nothing in terms of learning a new skill. I've learned how to mute my mic for calls when the dog's barking. But at first I thought, I must do this, I must do that, and then I was setting myself up to fail. So just break things down into chunks. If you're not already on it, I would suggest investigating and signing up to LinkedIn, because that's like professional social media. Probably the kids these days aren't on Facebook, but I always used to call it professional Facebook. And it's a great way of linking up with people who could potentially, help you with volunteering opportunities and jobs and apprenticeships as well.
Yeah, no, I think that's brilliant advice. And I've had people. So when I used to be ambassador for education with the IOD, and we'd have loads of IOD students, I've had some of them message me and say, "Okay, Jordan, now at uni, this is what I'm doing. I want some, work experience. Could you help?" And we've had 2 students do work experience with us via that. And I've said, "Look, you've still got to follow the same process as everyone else, but I think it helps when you're knocking on the door of somebody you know." And yeah, no, definitely huge advocate for LinkedIn for students and young people. But folks, I'm going to draw it to a close. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you. I'm looking forward to when we can actually sit down and have a coffee in person with your fancy Paddy and Scots at the IWIC. But until then, I hope to see you soon. And yeah, have a fantastic week.
Thank you, Jordan.
Cheers. So folks, that was the University of Suffolk. So we had Annabelle, Careers Advisor, Joanne and Jenni from the Ipswich Waterfront Innovation Centre. I know it's a mouthful, but it's fantastic if you ever get the opportunity to go and see it. You can see all of their LinkedIn profiles below. So we already talked about LinkedIn, so you can go and stalk them there. There is also a quick survey, just so then it gives us an idea of the sort of content that you want to see on our YouTube channel. And there's lots more information below as well. So be sure to check that out. This week we have on Liam Mackinder on Thursday, 12:30. So Liam is the Community Engagement Manager for Haven Power. So anything to do with charity, engaging the community, that's Liam's remit and role. He's a great friend. He supports us as an enterprise advisor and as a cornerstone employer. So definitely tune in 12:30 this Thursday to hear from Liam and all of his work at Haven Power. But a huge thanks to our guests from the University of Suffolk today. Thanks.